mate, Pride Round, what does it mean to you and the club to be a part of that?
Mate, it's a pretty special round. Like when you look at all the commentary over the last couple of weeks in preparation for Pride Round, it really does make you stop and think just how hard people have had it over the journey to just be themselves. And I think that's what our club pride ourselves on, among other things, is that you can step into this place and you can be yourself and be loved and respected no matter what your background, belief, or whatever it may be. But yeah, it's a pretty special round, and I'm aware too that the history of the AFLW and women in football, are built around women being themselves and having pride and respect and feeling safe in their environment. And that's one thing we want to make sure that when you step foot into our doors, that you're safe and protected and loved, and that's a journey we'll continue to take with that in that space.
I spoke to a couple of the girls on Tuesday, I guess about, there's the Pride Round and the jumpers and everything. That's the sort of visual aspect. But in terms of behind the scenes, especially at the club, I mean, what other things, I guess, are you guys doing behind the scenes, especially around the issue of pride?
Yeah, we have a lot of, I suppose, interaction with different communities, local community that come in, and our doors are open to keep educating our group around that inclusivity that we need and that we cherish in our community and the club. So our Pride supporter group have been outstanding. Like, they come to every game. They're very visible within our workspace. And we've had lots of interaction with different local community groups that have come in just to further educate and reiterate the importance of acceptance and support around just being able to be yourself. So in my time here in the last couple of years, it seems to be almost an ongoing program of education and direction around allowing people just to be themselves. So it's almost like Pride Round's as you said, a great visual representation with the jumpers and the hoopla during the week. But for us, it's just it's a week-to-week thing. It's visible all the time. And it's become part of the norm now, which I think that's the message, isn't it? We want this to be part of the norm. So I think our group's a very lucky group.
And mate, in terms of on-field this year, what's changed this year to sort of turn last year's close losses into some wins, and obviously now have yourself in finals contention?
I reckon a lot's changed. The first thing that's quite visibly has changed is our list has turned over quite a bit over the last 12 months, which we just felt like we needed to keep changing things from an on-ground perspective to give us our best chance to be in games for longer. And I thought last season 6, historically our defence was quite good, a bit of a dour type of game style. In games for up to about around 3 quarters, but just couldn't quite find the win. Well, now we're winning, and that belief in a system that we're playing, but also that system that we're playing is built on the strengths of the group. So that's been a big driver. Winning games helps the belief factor. The core group of players have been around for 3, 4, 5 years, and whether it be VFLW before we came into the AFLW system. So having that synergy and connection is clearly coming through now, and particularly that midfield group. Becky Webster, Nina Morrison back to her best, Amy back in the system as well. We've got a really nice, strong core group of players, and then you add experience with Jackie Parry and Shelley Scott into the team as well. Different cultures, different teams that they've been involved in. Things seem to be clicking. Chloe Shears had a great couple of weeks, or a great 2 or 3 weeks, but there's been a lot going right behind the scenes for their preparation, their willingness to buy into a culture of playing a role as opposed to trying to win, if that makes sense. So we're very much process driven in terms of making sure that we're following a process to get the outcome that we're after, whether it be a win or loss. But certainly we can rely on the process. So. It's no shock that we're doing well, but I am a little bit surprised that we're 5-2, but it's certainly I'm not shocked that we've won more games than we've lost.
And because obviously, looking at sort of the Cats since they've come into the AFLW, there's been that sort of improvement, I guess, season on season. But how important was it for you to sort of get those wins this year to sort of, I guess, maybe get a bit of reward for that improvement and to sort of, show the girls that you're on the right path moving forward?
Yeah, it's such an important factor, the winning factor. So season 6, you come with a new style, new coach, where new players come in, and you want the team to believe in the pathway that we're following. And I reckon we saw the change improvement statistically last year, but just not on the wins and losses. So I think that was a nice starting point. But then to go up against the Gold Coast in our first practice match this year, after another 3 months of solidifying a method and style, to win and to win well was a really nice boost to the group to say, rightio, I think this is working really well. And then to get that first win, albeit after the siren, or close to the end of the game, with George Basparkas kicking the goal, it was just another jolt of this is the right method and right style, and the winning factor and the belief has grown from there. And we travel to Fremantle, have a really tough day out there, but win quite well again against a quality team. So yeah, the winning factor has helped the belief factor in what we do. And yeah, we had a couple of challenging games early on in the year with North Melbourne and Collingwood, but I just don't think any of our players are feeling like there's any stress or anxiety around a win and loss now. It's about the process is the right process.
And one of the close wins you had last year was obviously West Coast, who you played this week. Do you reflect on that game at all? Because I know listening to a few of the girls speak since that game, they spoke about the crowd especially and how important they were in that game. And I guess, as you said, building that belief. Do you reflect on that game at all going into this weekend?
We haven't as yet. We'll have a meeting tonight. It'll probably come up. And Darcy Loney cops a fair bit. She was a hero in that game. And having Michaela Bowen obviously on the other side of the fence now playing with us, like she's still scarred from that game, she says. So, I think we'll touch on it again. I think it'll give the players some stronger belief that they've beaten a team that before, which historically for us over the last few years there hasn't been too many wins. So to know that you're coming up against a team that you've had some success over, it certainly does help. But they're a quality team. Like the last 3 weeks, they've had 3 Rising Star nominations, and they're only getting better. Full credit to Michael Pryor and the way they're going about their football. They're a team that's going to be on the rise. So we've got our work cut out. So I don't think the belief factor is the only thing that's going to get us across the line this week. Knowing that we've beaten them before certainly gives us an advantage mentally. But I think the way we've been playing our footy at the moment, we're confident that we'll execute a style that's going to be good enough to hopefully win this week, but also go forward.
And for West Coast, they haven't got, I guess, the wins to go with their season just yet. But I guess, what are you wary of in how they play, and what do you feel like you can maybe take advantage of as well?
Yeah, they're good. So they've got a great midfield combination. Impressive ruck stock. Lakai, she's dominating as a 19-year-old and big size player. Gets around the ground pretty well. Swanson on ball. Roberts on ball. Extremely talented and quick. And you throw in their interceptors in defence. So we're going to be wary about us, attacking in a style that plays into their hands, into their defence, because they're intercepting everything that comes their way at the moment. And they do like to change angles with their attack too. So if we're not denying intercepting as well, which I think is one of our strengths. If we give West Coast too much time and space, they're using the ball pretty well at the moment. They do like to change angles, like I said. And Icon Park's a nice round oval too. That doesn't quite make sense there, round and oval, but there's genuine space to be used. So we're wary that our clearance game was under par last week against Essendon. We need to improve our clearance rates to get the ball forward. We proved that once it gets forward, we're pretty damaging with our efficiency inside 50. So it's the efficiency part again. If they intercept, we're going to have a hard day.
Mate, finals chat. Do you dream of the top 4? Do you chat about it, that kind of stuff just yet? Because it's I guess it's unfamiliar territory at the moment for you guys.
It hasn't come up, mate. I suppose we've got this mentality that we're hunting the teams above us, and that's what we're trying to aim. Is personally a top 4 for this group would be outstanding, and I think we're in a position to hunt for that top 4 position. So. Really, we need one more win, I would have thought, to lock us in in the final 8. So that's our first aim is to get that position in the top 8. But from a personal perspective, the mentality is that we're hunting the teams above us and letting the rest of the pack try and to catch up a little bit. But we haven't made a point with Ollie. I think it's there. I think they would know that sitting 5th with 3 games to go is a positive thing. But look at the numbers, the points above us. There's 4 teams on 24 points, and below us there's a number of teams biting at our heels as well. So it's if we don't win, we're going to be hurting ourselves. So we'll focus on this week. Old cliche, but we're in a hunting mentality, mate, and that's just how we'll approach the next, hopefully the next 6 weeks.
Now, obviously, you got Amy McDonald free to play. Were you surprised that she got that week's suspension to start with? It was a bit of an awkward-looking tackle, but did you think it was a suspendable act?
I have to admit, at the time, it happened so quickly that there was more the players' reaction around that contest that indicated that maybe something wasn't quite right. And then when Amy came off the bench, she was quite, first of all, worried that she'd done something wrong. The pleasing thing was Steph Kane was fine. They all got up from the contest, went and played footy off the back of that. So I was like, okay, well, then maybe it wasn't as bad as what people might have thought. But when you look at the vision, it looks damning. It looks one of the worst type incidents we've seen for a while in regards to how the tackle came about. But when you break it down, Amy's done everything she can to try and avoid that type of look, and for Steph to try and have the momentum and put the brakes on suddenly with her footwork, and the momentum, the physics says you're going forward. But to Amy's credit, she does actually release and not try and continue the momentum. She tries to roll her, so she did everything she could to try and limit any impact that was dangerous. So we're just glad Steph's fine. Amy's had a ripping year. It would have been devastated for her to one of our other midfielders in 3 weeks get rubbed out for a dangerous tackle. But I'm pleased that it didn't work out that way. But she was worried. Post game, she asked me about, so what are your thoughts? I said, well, we got nutted in clearances. She goes, no, my tackle. I was like, oh, sorry. It was out of sight, out of mind, until, let's get to the point. But no, she's thrilled, mate. She's had a great year, as I said, and for her she's not that kind of person. She's not a person that goes out to try and hurt each other. And I think there's an area now in the competition where we need to be coaching the method of. We talk about the tackle method being the one that's under the microscope. A lot of it too goes down to how we break tackles. I think there's far too many, and this is my opinion and some of an opinion of others as well, is that we need to coach how we break and fight tackles and how that looks, because there's too many times it's going to hurt. Someone's going to get hurt or reported where it was unnecessary, where we just concede and drop our weight and drop our body. You're putting yourself in harm's way by doing that. So I think just as much time needs to be spent in coaching and teaching how to break and fight a tackle and how to evade, as opposed to concede. I'm not saying Steph conceded at all. She's trying to fight a tackle, but how we do that can certainly help with the safety factor.
Speaking of Amy, so herself and Georgie flying at the top of near the top of the coaches' votes. How impressive have their respective campaigns been thus far?
Outstanding, mate. Georgie, obviously being a high draft pick last year, great year last year, season 6. She's had an immediate impact on our group. Her talent has just gone through the roof in season 7, and we've all seen it. It's just her ability to evade and exit stoppages in different directions is pretty uncanny, and it opens up multiple avenues for us to go forwards, which is probably what we've missed the last couple of weeks with her out there. We've been a little bit a bit more dour, a bit more contested base in that space without her, but she steps out and then Nina comes in, and then Nina plays 2 outstanding games in 2 weeks to kind of fill that gap. So we certainly can't forget how Nina can impact our team. But Georgie's been outstanding, and you throw in Amy's progression from year to year to year. The numbers keep rising, and that's the thing we talked about last season, Ollie, was that the good teams have 2 or 3 mids who are averaging 20 possessions plus. We just weren't having that. We're getting one midfielder get 18 or 19 average a game. Now we're getting 2 or 3 players who are averaging plus 20, which is what we're after. And so it just goes to show that mix of players, the training, the strength conditioning, and just their progression is the right way.
And mate, last one from me, team selection wise, are you any sort of indication yet on what that might look like for this week?
Well, we've got some difficult decisions to make, that's for sure. We've got pretty much a full list to choose from, which is outstanding. With Georgie coming back in this week after a 2-week suspension, there'll be clearly one coming out. We just need to sit down as a match committee. We already have had some good conversations, but we need to make sure that whatever change we make from here isn't going to upset the flow of our winning formula at the moment, and it's really stiff for players at this point to come out, mate, because we're winning, and it's a difficult conversation to have, that someone's unlucky to come out. So we've got Rach Kearns too, who's also breathing down my neck to try and get back into the team, and she's fit, firing, and ready to go. Renee Gehring. So we've got a number of players who are basically knocking my door down to say, hey, pick me, but we're going to have some really interesting conversations in the next 24 hours, that's for sure. But there's definitely one change, we're just not too sure who it is yet.